There's nothing more electrifying in mixed martial arts than a knockout finish. The kind that shuts the lights out instantly. It's both horrifying and fascinating, leaving you eagerly awaiting for slow motion replay. The fighters who possess this raw power inspire awe in both their peers and the crowd. I'm Jin from Beyond the Octagon, and today we're counting down the top 10 fighters known for their devastating knockout power. Now, before I begin, I know some of you guys won't agree with my list, but hear me out. Some fighters you might expect to see won't make the cut, but they're going to get honorable mentions. Chuck Liddell, Junior Dos Santos, and Yoel Romero. These guys are deadly strikers, but our focus is on those who can end the fight with one crushing blow. Take Fedor Emelianenko, one of the most feared strikers in MMA history, yet he doesn't have many clean knockouts. And then there's Conor McGregor. While his knockout on Aldo is legendary, many of his wins are by TKOs where the ref stepped in. These fighters were all close to making the list, but just missed out. Now let's get started. Starting off at number 10, we have Johnny Hendricks. Sometimes a few spectacular finishes can establish a fighter's reputation for devastating power. Enter Johnny Hendricks, a D1 national champion wrestler. Hendricks shocked everyone at UFC 141 by knocking out top welterweight John Fitch in just 12 seconds with a single punch. The first time Fitch has ever been finished in the UFC. Hendricks later said, "I don't know how hard I hit. I've been throwing about 80% here lately, and today I just wanted to let it fly and see what happened." Less than a year later, he did it again, guys, knocking out Martin Kampmann in just 46 seconds with another brutal left hand. These knockouts quickly made Hendricks one of the most feared strikers in the welterweight division. With 9 finishes and 4 first-round finishes, Hendricks' power left hand became a major storyline leading up to his title fight with GSP. Everyone wondered how the champion would handle a clean shot from Hendricks, because if it landed, the fight was over. While his career may have declined after his title run, for a time Johnny Hendricks' left hand was the most feared weapon in the sport. Number 9. Jeremy Stephens. Remember when Jeremy Stephens tried to trash talk Conor McGregor and got hilariously shut down?
This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't move.
While Conor's comeback stole the spotlight, Stephens was actually right about his striking power. Few fighters in the lighter weight classes can end a fight with one punch, but Jeremy Stephens is one of them. With 8 career KOs and 10 TKOs, Little Heathen has earned a reputation as a striker to avoid. He's delivered stunning knockouts to Marcus Davis, Dennis Bermudez with the flying knee, and Josh Emmett. He even finished Rafael Dos Anjos in the 3rd round, showing his power lasts throughout the fight. One of Stephens' most memorable finishes is his 40-second head kick knockout of Ronnie Jason in 2013. Jason was out cold, completely gone. Despite holding the record for most UFC losses in UFC history, Stephens remains a constant threat. It only takes one big shot and he can deliver it in any time. Number 8. Melvin Manhoef. Prepare yourself for a heartbreaker, guys. Melvin Manhoef dismantling Kazushi Sakuraba in a fight that should never have happened. That devastating finish is just one highlight in Manhoef's career, but there's much more. Manhoef has a terrifying record. In kickboxing, he achieved 27 finishes. In MMA, he secured 11 KO finishes and 18 TKOs with 26 first-round stoppages. This guy is a force of nature. His fight with Cyborg Santos at Cage Rage 15 was an all-time classic. Manhoef scrambled Santos' brain so badly that Santos thought he was winning and delivered an ineffective ground and pound after the fight ended. Manhoef's 18-second knockout of Mark Hunt is legendary. This is the same Mark Hunt who endured Cro Cop's best shots and went the distance, but Manhoef took him out in seconds. Even in his 40s, Manhoef remains dangerous, racking up 2 KOs in Bellator. Just watch Doug Marshall get launched through the air. Absolutely unbelievable. While Manhoef's record might not be the longest, there's no doubt, from the early 2000s till now, you don't want to get hit by Melvin Manhoef. Number 7. Igor Vovchanchyn. Remember the 90s era of MMA, when it wasn't mainstream yet? Events were held all over the world, often featuring violent matches with fighters competing multiple times a week and sometimes getting paid in beer. Igor Vovchanchyn was the scariest fighter of that era. First, let's talk about his kickboxing career, which had 48 finishes. This man was a master at putting people to sleep. In MMA, he recorded 12 knockout finishes and 29 TKOs, most in the first round. Before his legendary run in Pride FC, he already had 8 knockouts. These early fights were absolutely wild. Watch him dismantle Adelson Lima or take on the 340-pound giant Fred Floyd. His finish of Nick Nutter to win the World Vale Toro Championship tournament was pure violence, reminiscent of Jorge Masvidal. In Pride FC, Vovchanchyn continued his dominance. He gave Gary Goodridge the infamous chicken legs and handed Mark Kerr his first loss at Pride 7, though it was later overturned due to illegal knees. Nonetheless, Igor achieved 3 devastating knockout finishes in Pride that did count, the most memorable being Francisco Bueno, who got hit 5 times on his way down. Vovchanchyn's TKOs were equally brutal. He was a mean, devastating striker and undoubtedly the best of the old school heavy hitters. Number 6. Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson is a name synonymous with raw power. His most famous knockout didn't come from a punch or a kick, but from an earth-shattering critical countdown of 2004. This slam showcased the sheer strength Jackson brings to the ring, but he has plenty of knockout finishes from strikes too. With 7 career knockouts and 12 TKOs, Rampage has been a force in every era of his career, including Pride FC, UFC, and even Bellator. He has 18 first-round stoppages, meaning if he connects in the first 5 minutes, it's usually game over. He took out legends like Kevin Randleman and Marvin Eastman, and in Bellator, he KO'd Joey Beltran, marking Joey's second knockout loss ever. At UFC 92, he knocked out Vanderlei Silva. One of his most shocking victories was when he crumbled then-champion Chuck Liddell to win the UFC light heavyweight title. In his fierce rivalry with Rashad Evans, a single punch nearly won him the fight. Even John Jones, known for his incredible skill set, kept his distance to avoid Rampage's powerful strikes. Jackson is violence personified, and any weaknesses in his game has always been overshadowed by his pure devastating power. Number 5. Dan Henderson. Welcome the H-bomb. Everyone knows it's coming, but that doesn't make it less devastating. When Dan Henderson connects with his overhand right, whether at middleweight or light heavyweight, it's game over. It's one of those most iconic strikes in MMA history, and for good reason. Hendo has 7 KO finishes and 8 TKOs, with 13 of those coming in the first round. His reputation as a knockout artist is legendary. The most famous example, the unforgettable knockout of Michael Bisping at UFC 100. It's a highlight reel moment that showcases Hendo's incredible power. But that's just one part of his legacy. At Pride FC 33, he knocked out Vanderlei Silva to win the middleweight title, leaving Silva as stiff as a board. He was the first to truly TKO Fedor Emelianenko, and has also defeated legends like Renzo Gracie, Akihiro Gono, and Shogun Rua in their rematch. Even late in his career, Henderson continued to impress by stopping Hector Lombard. Balancing on one foot, he delivered a brutal elbow that sent Lombard into another reality. Dan Henderson's career is full of jaw-dropping finishes that cements his place as one of the most powerful strikers in MMA history. Number 4. Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt is the undisputed king of walk-off KOs. His reputation as a heavy-handed striker isn't about sheer volume, it's about the sheer finality of his punches. With 8 KOs in his legendary K1 career, 4 in MMA and 6 TKOs, Hunt has proven his power across both sports. But it's his knack for ending fights so abruptly and definitively that sets him apart. When Hunt lands a knockout blow, he doesn't need a follow-up. He knows it's over and often stops the fight himself, confidently walking away. Notable victims of Mark Hunt's walk-off knockouts include Yosuke Nishijima in Pride, Chris Tuchscherer, Frank Mir, and even Roy Nelson. Yes, he even walk-off KO'd Big Country. And that's just a few of the names. He also put away Derek Lewis, Bigfoot Silva, and shattered Stefan Struve's jaw. Hunt's legendary power is matched only by his granite chin. His power shots were something every opponent feared. While he may not have the most finishes on the list, no one delivered them with quite as much style and certainty as Mark Hunt. Number 3. Shane Carwin. Shane Carwin's career is a testament to explosive power and relentless aggression. Before his UFC heavyweight championship fight against Brock Lesnar at UFC 116, Carwin had never seen the second round. That speaks volumes about his ability to end fights swiftly. This imposing figure, a Division II national champion wrestler and civil engineer, had fists like wrecking balls. The only reason he's not higher on the list is that his career was short-lived. Had his back issues not derailed him, Carwin could have continued demolishing opponents well into 2015. With knockout finishes over Christian Wellish, Gabriel Gonzaga, and Frank Mir, Carwin made a huge impact in just 4 UFC fights, each one ending in a finish that made fans and fighters alike pants drop. In his title bout, a glancing blow nearly ended Lesnar's night, but Carwin's energy waned as he tried to secure the finish. If he had landed cleaner shots, UFC 200 might have been a very different story, with Lesnar's legacy altered. Carwin's career burned brightly but briefly. Nevertheless, his fearsome power remains unforgettable. Number 2. Anthony Johnson. Before his tragic passing, Anthony "Rumble" Johnson was a force to be reckoned with since his UFC debut, where he knocked out Chad Rayner out cold in just 13 seconds at 170 pounds. Right from the start, Johnson set a high bar for that initial impression. His second fight, another lightning-fast finish. His opponent was out before he even hit the canvas. Johnson's power didn't stop with punches. He showcased his devastating kicking by brutally finishing Kevin Burns in their rematch and even Charlie Brenneman. Despite his weight issues leading to a UFC departure in 2012, he continued to dominate in the World Series of Fighting. Just look at DJ Lindeman's faceplant or Mike Kyle's KO. He even broke Andrei Arlovsky's jaw. Returning to the UFC, Johnson's reputation grew to legendary status. He flattened Little Nog, dismantled Gustafsson, and knocked out Ryan Bader. He also delivered a jaw-dropping knockout of Glover Teixeira, sending his tooth into the stratosphere. In his first title fight against Daniel Cormier, Johnson's punch sent Cormier flying halfway across the cage, a sight never seen before. With 10 career knockouts, 6 TKOs, and 12 first-round finishes, Johnson's knockout power remains unparalleled. Anthony "Rumble" Johnson's impact on the sport is unforgettable, and his legacy will live on. Rest in peace, Rumble. There's little debate that he's one of the most fearsome strikers in MMA history, rivaled only by our top pick. And finally, at number 1, we have Francis Ngannou. You probably saw this coming, but there's no denying that Francis Ngannou earns a top spot as the heaviest hitter in MMA. While other fighters may have impressive knockout records, Ngannou's sheer power sets him apart. With 5 career KOs and 6 TKOs, he's established a reputation that rivals even the greatest heavy hitters in the sport's history. Ngannou's raw power brings to mind the awe-inspiring era of Mike Tyson, where every punch seemed to hold the force of a sledgehammer. His impact is evident not just in his numbers, but in the visceral reaction his fights provoke. Remember his early destruction of opponents? That's from his 3rd ever fight, and it's a glimpse of the kind of power that's simply unteachable. In his UFC debut, Ngannou obliterated Luis Enrique, setting the tone for his career. He's since added 5 TKOs against top-tier fighters and delivered knockouts that defy belief. Whether it was the stunning finish of Cain Velasquez's comeback or the brutal knockout of Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Ngannou's power is palpable. But who could forget the jaw-dropping uppercut that turned Alistair Overeem into a real-life Mortal Kombat moment? Ngannou's only losses in the UFC came when he couldn't land a clean shot. When he does, the fight is over. His power is unmatched, and there's no question that Francis Ngannou is the hardest hitter in MMA history. And with that, we conclude our rundown of the 10 hardest hitters in MMA history. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.